Welcome to the series of Oracle Fusion middleware video lessons. In this video, I'll be talking about a HelloWorld example, famous HelloWorld example. Whatever language you start, HelloWorld is the first example you start with. So even in SOA web services, I'll start with HelloWorld sample web service. I hope you might have followed the last video where you need to install the Oracle JDeveloper. So once you are done with the Oracle JDeveloper installation, so this is an IDE. Once you open the JDeveloper IDE, it opens almost like this. So when it opens, you simply need to go to this toolbar called Run. I know it is almost similar to any other IDE like Eclipse. You go to this menu, Run. For you, the start server instance would have been enabled. The reason for me it is disabled. I have started the WebLogic server. So for your information, this IDE is integrated with the WebLogic server. By default, it comes with the WebLogic server. That is what we installed in the previous video with the JDeveloper installation along with the SOA plugins and with the WebLogic server. That's what we did in the last video. So here, you can see the start server instance. Once you click on start server instance, the server runs over here. It shows the complete messages of the server logs. So once it is started, you can see the server is started, so that you are good to start the new application. And you need to know about the port number also. So while configuring your WebLogic server, you can see the port number there. So my server is starting still. So meanwhile, I'll create a new application here. So for any IDE, it's a pattern, application we need to create, and inside application you have to create the projects. Even in SOA also it is same. So let me say new application. So new application. So since we are going to create a SOA project here, so I'm going to select the template called SOA application. So I click on SOA and say OK. So application name, I'll name it as my SOA examples or practice. So this is what the application name, and I'll click on next here. And the project name. So project name, I want to create Hello World, right? So I'm going to name it as Hello World. So inside application, I'm creating a project called Hello World project. So I'm clicking on next. By default, the SOA, since we selected the SOA application, so it has given the SOA suite as a template for your project. So it by default it is selected. So say next here, and for each SOA project, you have a different composites available in SOA. I'll explain even other things also here. The composite, the people process composite with the human task flow, and sub-process and other stuff. I hope I've explained about these components separately: people process, human task, and sub-process. So for now, I'll go with the empty composite. So I don't want to create a SOA service with the other composites or with other, like say, people process. So I have not yet decided what my web service is going to be. So I'll select empty composite, So when I select empty composite, I have a choice to go for people, process, human task, sub-process, string, or anything, whichever shown here. So I say empty composite and then say finish. So you can see it has created application here, and application consists of one project that is called HelloWorld, and this and application we have used SOA application as a template while creating the application, and even for the project we have selected SOA as a project as a template, and we have not selected any default components. So we select as an empty composite. So if you see the project structure, it will create these many folders inside your workspace: events, schemas, test suits, transformations, visuals, and there's something I'll tell you about what is this. So events, if at all you're writing anything related to the events, it will store it inside this folder. And schemas, all your XSD files will reside inside the schemas. If at all you're using any schemas which are available through internet, that will configure with the URL. But the schemas, whichever you create web services, it will automatically create inside this schemas. Test suits, it's for your test cases on your web service. So transformations, I'll cover this in the next videos. Visuals, it will store the visuals whichever is created for your service. So for now I don't have anything here except this hello world. So if you see my old video on service component architecture, so that is what your composite. So this is the composite. So this is the composite. It is. So we have three sections here. So the rightmost, it is external references, and leftmost it is expose services, and the middle one is components. So each project will have only one composite. So I'll write down here. So we have created SOA application, and SOA application consists of SOA project. So I'll say this is my application. My SOA practice is an application name, and hello world as a project name. So each application will have a project, and it is allowed to create multiple projects inside your application. So that there is nothing new here. It is common in any IDEs. So our project 2. So each project will have one composite.xml. So I'll say it is composite1.xml, and here you have composite2.xml. So in the current scenario, what is the composite here? It is hello world. The reason it has created the hello world is since our project name is hello world, so it has created hello world as a composite name. So in JDeveloper, the application extension is JWS. .jws, and the project extension is, this is the project extension, this is for the project, it is JPR. Even you can see it on the screen also. So if you mouse over here, it is saying, it has created my SOA practice.jws inside your my work, JDeveloper my work, my SOA practice, and if you see the project name, it is called .jpr. So this is extension of your project. So here it is JWS is my SOA practice. and your project name is HelloWorld. So this is the way it is created, application and project inside your JDeveloper. So so what are these export services and external services? We call it as, we call the rightmost and leftmost sections, we call it as binding components. I'm just I have already covered this in the previous video. I'll try to binding components. So what is this binding components? Expose services, plus external references, right? So this we call it as a binding components, right? So after this, we'll straight away jump into the section where we can create the a web service. So now I'm interested to create a HelloWorld program, and my intention is, say for any a web service, it is going to be request and response. So I want to pass the input as Harry, and I want to see the response as Harry, right? So this is my intention. I should have a web service, and for that web service, or I should have a WSDL, or I should have a web service here, and I'll pass Harry as input, and I wanted to see the output as in Harry, same input, input. So something like same should be echoed as a response. So this is what our intention. For that, so if you see the right side, you can see the components. So these are available components in SOA. I have explained about each of these in the old videos, in the previous maybe sections. And so let us take this component, just click on this and try to say drag and drop. So if you're dropping it on the rightmost binding component, that is external references, it would not allow you. And if you're copying it on the leftmost, it won't let you. So you have to drop it on the component section, and just observe what are the files it will create once I drop it into the component section. See, it pops up a window here, and this is asking, now we are interested to create a BPL process. So this BPL process will take the input and give you a response back. So for this, so name, I'm okay with this BPL process name as a BPL process 1, and the template type, it's a web service. So now we have to select which way of which type of BPL process you want to create. Is it a synchronous or asynchronous? So if you go back to our notepad, the same should be echoed in the response. That means I wanted to get the response immediately. I don't want to wait, after giving the request, I don't want to wait for some time and want to see the response. So I want to get it immediately. So that is synchronous. I want to create a synchronous BPL process. So I hope you would still remember what is synchronous and asynchronous. I'll try to say it again. synchronous, a process, it's when you say immediate response. For the request via same channel. Here, these keywords are important. Via the same channel. I don't want to create another channel to get the response back. That is in synchronous communication. So in WSDL you have port types and operations. So in synchronous you have only one port type and one operation for getting the response back, or for the complete BPL process. But whereas in asynchronous, communication, you have or you can say there is a delay in the response. So it is callback. So you won't get the response immediately, so you have to wait for some time, so you get a call back for the response. So it has different port type. You will see it in the WSDL. What is this port type and operation? Sorry for don't consider the spelling mistakes. Different port type, and operation. So in synchronous you have it in only one port type and operation, whereas for asynchronous you have different port type and operation for the response. So for request you have one port type and operation, and for response you have another port type and operation. That is what that's in asynchronous way of communication, or asynchronous. So now I want to get the response immediately, so what should I go with? Synchronous. Good. Just say okay. So these things we'll cover in the coming videos when we are trying to cover about other BPL components, other SOA components. Say okay. See, after creation of this BPL process, it has created many files for us. It has created BPL process 1.WSDL. It has created BPL process 1.BPL. It has created the BPL process 1.XST. So how it refers, we'll see it now. So let's go to HelloWorld composite. So here so this is what our BPL process component, and it has a link to binding services that we can call it as a partner link. I'll cover that now. Before that, let's go to the WSDL and see what it has created. Click on source. I'll maximize this. This is the WSDL which is created by default. So first and foremost, we have to generally go to port type. So how many port types and operation you see it here? So there's one port type and operation. So by seeing this, even you can decide you can tell it is a synchronous and asynchronous. So since it has one port type and operation, it is a synchronous communication. So what is the port type name? It's a BPL process 1 name. So when we are dropping the BPL process into the component section, there if you remember, we have given the name as BPL process 1, and now the operation name is process. So it's not compulsory to use these names. You can use own names based on the requirement. And this operation is a process operation, and this will have one input and one output. So if you go back here, this is one input, request and response. So request and response, input and output. So what is this? What is the input and output here? Is it a direct a variable here? No. In SOA it is a messages way. Anyway, this is an input message and this is an output message. If you click Control on your keyboard and mouse over here, it is highlighted. Just click on this, left click. Did you see this? It has taken you to the a messages section. I'll show it again. So place the mouse cursor here and click on Control and then click here. Just left click. It will take you to the a message section. So that means this messages name, whatever you have given, it is calling or it is invoking another part in the WSDL here. And if you go to output, just mouse over and click here, and it will take you to the response. This is your output. So that means you have two messages types here: WSDL message for input, WSDL message for output. That is one for request and other one for a response. Great. So, and once you go inside here, this is your request message name and this is your response message name. And if you see the element here, and again place the cursor here, and you have to aware of what this does, right? This is not still an input. For request and response you have to give string as an input and get the string as an output. So where those are available, click on this client process. It will take you to the XSD. So that is what XSD which is created inside a schemas folder. Let's go inside source. So it has taken you to XSD file, and inside XSD, since I have clicked on request message, it has taken you to the one element, that is the element name is process. So that is about the client process here, that the element name, and this element name. And what is inside this element? It's a complex type, yes, and it has one sequence as an element. Inside this you have an element name input type string. So this is what we required, right? Request should be it is a string, so you're expecting it as a string. Somewhere you should define, whether it is a Java program, even in a SOA, you should define it is a string. So this is what type input, the element name is input and type is string. And output is, there should be one element even for this output, and it should be a string. So if you go back to your WSDL and go to your response, click on this process response, it will take you to the XSD, and again it is another element which is of string type. So the element name is input, and here the element name is result, that is type string. So, and the element name is process response, that is what you see it as, the client is process response. So what is the relation or how it relates to the proper XSD? So if you see it in this WSDL, you see it as a types as an element here. So inside types element, since it's an external schema, so you have to give the location of your XSD. So the location of XSD is schemas, a people process XSD. So this is what your where is this people process XSD. So this is the location of XSD. Since it's an external schema, so you define it as the complete with the schema location. And how you refer this? You refer with this name. Okay, so I hope this is what inside in the WSDL. And partner link type. So this is partner link. We'll cover it in another 5 to 10 minutes. So this is, if you see the WSDL, you observe this is still as an abstract a WSDL. This is not concrete. This is not a complete WSDL yet. So concrete WSDL will come after your deployment. It will give you an WSDL, a URL, that is an endpoint, and once you see that endpoint, it will have the complete information. That is, if you remember, we were talking about abstract WSDL and concrete. So what inside this abstract WSDL, you have types, you have message, you have operation, port type and operation, mostly this is what you have seen it in the WSDL now. Almost port type, operation, message and types. This is what you have seen in the WSDL now. That's the reason I call it this as an abstract WSDL. But it's not concrete. Concrete WSDL will have a binding. Along with this, it will have binding and service. Maybe other elements also will be there, but to understand now, it's a binding and service components. And everything will be reside inside definitions. That is how it is. The WSDL is formatted. Don't consider spelling mistakes. So this is the definitions. So this is your complete WSDL, what it has created so far. So we have covered a WSDL file here, and we have seen the XSD. And let's go to the BPEL. So once you click on this BPEL, this is what it is showing for you. Not only from here, if you want to navigate even from your composite, you are very well do that. Just click on here, double click, it will take you to the BPEL again. So whatever you see, it's a component which you dropped, that is called your BPEL process. So go to BPEL process here. So don't worry much about this. This is what it has automatically created for you. I'll cover now here. Sorry. So this is your complete section, the BPEL process section. So if you see, where is the request is coming from? The request is coming from this place. So what is this? A partner link. So to initiate the BPEL, someone should carry the message and someone should send the response back to response as an output. So that is what your partner link is doing here. So again, partner link, I will tell you, maybe I'll type it here. So partner links, there are two types of partner links. One is client and invoke. So there are two types of partner links. So the client partner link, this will initiates BPEL. And this invoke partner link, this will be triggered by BPEL. This is your invoke partner link, client partner link and invoke partner link. So the one which we are using now, or the one which is created by default, this is your partner link, and this is a client partner link, because this will initiate your BPEL. Because you BPEL, your beeple is not invoking something, something is initiating your beeple. So you from here you getting the request to your beeple process, and you sending the response back to your beeple. So this is your client partner link. And whenever you see something over here, over here, this is invoke partner link. That means your beeple, this will be, whatever you see it here triggered by beeple will trigger that. You see it as, it will trigger your partner links triggered by something, whatever you have it here, maybe you require to connect some database or whatever, you get to know in the next sections. That is called a partner link, that is invoke partner link. So to see, even if you click on here, you can see it here. This is what your client partner link information. And even if you go to source, whenever to identify, this is the partner links, how to identify it is a client partner link or invoke partner link. The way we have seen it, like synchronous and asynchronous, when it has only one port type and operation, it is synchronous, and if you see more than one port type and operation, it is asynchronous communication. So here in a similar way, the partner links, if you see the my role in the partner link, this is a partner link name, beeple process 1 client. If you see my role inside this partner link, this is by name itself, it is a client partner link. So if you see the instead of my role, if you see the partner role, that is going to be invoke partner link. These things are helpful when you are supporting for any project. By seeing it in the beeple component, you can easily understand whether it is a client or invoke partner link. So I'll write it here. So if you see my role inside the partner link of beeple, you see it as in client partner link. If you see as partner role, that is invoke partner link. So that should be enough here, because since it's a first HelloWorld process, you might get confused about this terminology, but going forward, this will be very clear for you. You can understand it very clearly. You guys will navigate very quickly on this beeple process. So going back to your beeple, click on design. So this is what it has created. So if you click on this receive input and reply output, this is your main section. These are all your variables. Receive input and reply output as a variable you have already seen in the visual also. The request message and response message, once you click on the process, it will take you to see, this is the process element and this is the response element, process response. So it has two variables, that is receive input and reply input. If you double click on it, you can see that this is the input variable, the variable name. And if you double click on this, you can see this is the output variable. So you have a request and response, and it has added the links for you. Maybe in the next video I'll even try to remove these default variables, and I'll create from the beginning. So for now we'll see how it works. So you say you have a variable A and variable B. So now someone is sending the information, giving the input to your variable, that is maybe A is Harry. I want to see it as in a variable called B. So who will assign this? there is nothing over here by default. Someone is giving the input to this variable, and this is a capability. This output variable is a capability to send the response back to your partner link, so that in your composite this will get invoked. So in a reply output and a receive input, you should have something in between. Something, you have a and b variables, so you should declare somewhere, right? Okay, b, I want to assign a, right? I want to pass whatever resides inside this variable, I want to pass it in the b. So someone, if it is there, then b should have Harry, right? So b variable will contains whatever you have given in the a. So for that, you have a activity called, there are different activities. We'll cover those in the coming sections. So for now, I want to use and assign activity, so that whatever input has given, I want to assign it to the output variable. So if I mouse over here, I can, it will show the places where it is possible to drop. So I want to drop it here on the place. Now it is assigned. It is an assignment activity. In other way, it just equals to. So click on assign and put on the input variable and say here is an process and input variable. Let me go. This is the client side and this is the destination side, or these are input variables or output variables. So what it has to show, these both have input and output variable, and even this side you see input and output variable, right? So in the input variable, now intention is, let me correct that. It is, I wanted to do this assignment. I have an assignment operator, I have the variables. Only thing is I have to write this line. So input variable, go here, you have input variable, and inside if you see it's a payload, and inside you see it's a client process, and this is my input variable, right? I want to assign this a to b. And what is output here? You can see all these available variables here. Click on here and click on payload and click on the response. So you see all these in our WSDL and BPEL, So we are just only assigning variables like a equals to b, b equals to a. I'm just assigning whatever input I get in, I want to put in the variable b. So now you see the both things. So make sure you select both here. So these are selected. Now I want to assign. So to assign something in BPEL, so just click on this input string. Just say left click, and if you see, this line will highlight, and just say drop till client result string b. So that means you are assigning this variable to this variable. So this is from and to. So this is very simple. You are assigning your input variable. Inside input variable you see a payload which is available in our BPEL. Inside this you have a process, client process. That's what we have seen in the WSDL. And inside this we have an input string. In similar way you have a client process response. You see it is in WSDL, and inside this you have a variable called the result variable, and here it is an input string. So we're just assigning a equals to b. Very simple. So just say click on apply and say OK. So previously you see one exclamation symbol here. Now you won't see this. So that means assignment is done. Now if you go to source, so you can even try to understand what is inside this BPEL source code. So you see the sequence is a main section. The way we see it, this is the main section. Inside the main section, you see one receive variable and one reply variable. One second, receive component and assign. You have an assign here. So without this assign, you have one receive, get the request, this is input, and give the response back. So you have two things here. If you say go it here, receive input and reply output. So that's what we see it is here. The reason I'm explaining in Beeple also, if at all you wanted to debug, you should aware what it is actually writing. So go inside as an activity. So it is assigning. It's an assign activity, and it's something it is doing. It is just copying from your input variable to output variable for now. Alright. So it has two variables, the same thing, input variable and output variable, and it has one partner link. So that is my role. So that means it is in client partner link. So this is inside your Beeple. Okay. Let's go back to your visual. So do you see any updates on this thing? So let us try to deploy this to your WebLogic server, and let us observe the behavior. So I want to deploy this. Make sure your WebLogic server is started. So for now, see, I'm not able to start the server instance because it's already up and running. To confirm your WebLogic server is up and running, if you know port number, just go here and say, since it's a local host, whatever so this is my WebLogic port, and say EM. This is what your a URL, localhost 7101 EM console. So this is, you can say enter here. This is the URL of your WebLogic console. So you started the server here, WebLogic server, and you try to open the console of that server. That's what we are doing. So I'm just trying to repeat. You started the WebLogic server here. It is running, and you wanted to see what is inside this server. So while creating your domain, inside this, you get to know what is the username and password. You know the username and password. So I have the username and password, and I'm saying login. So I'm logging into this WebLogic console. So make sure your WebLogic server is up and running for the deployment. So get ready for assigning, for deployment. So meanwhile, let it show the console. Get ready the console. Yeah, it is almost done. So this is your admin console. That is your EM means enterprise manager. So in WebLogic, you have two consoles. One is localhost 7101 /console, and other one is /EM. So /console, which gives you the admin related information, or that's you have 2 years. For now, if I say that, you will get confused more. So for now, for SOA, we generally open /EM only. This is one console, enterprise manager console. So it shows all the lots of information. Once you have some basic knowledge on WebLogic, for you it is easy to understand. If you want to get basic understanding of WebLogic, you can see my other WebLogic videos in the same YouTube channel. So now my WebLogic server is up and running. I confirmed that. I opened the enterprise manager console. Now I can go to my SOA project here and say right click on project and say deploy. So far we are not creating a deployment profile, so just click on the project name HelloWorld. So it shows two things here: deploy to an application server, generate SAR file. So generate SAR file, I'll cover it in another whenever it is required, I'll explain that. So for now, deploy to application server. So I want to deploy this to an application server. So here the revision is a bit important here. The revision ID is 1.0. So that means my project, that is HelloWorld service, while deploying, I want to make it as this is a revision 1.0. If I'm deploying it again, I can make it 2.0, or I can even override the existing people or existing web service in the server. So if I want to override this again and again, I can simply select this. Otherwise, what it will tell you, assume you have deployed this web service, it is 1.0, and again you came back here and you did some changes over here on Hello World, and then you try to deploy. It will not allow you to deploy with the same revision 1.0. Either you have to select overwrite, or you have to change a revision ID. You will get to know slowly, if you get confused. So I'm not selecting an override, I'm simply selecting next. So here you can select integrate WebLogic server, or you can generally you can create another instance, application server instance. Say you have you connected to dev server, test server, a production server. So you should be in a position to create the application server instances here. That means since you're deploying it directly from your JDeveloper, you need to create the server instance here, application server instance. So for this, you have an WebLogic server up and running, and you are not really interested to deploy it to the either development server or test server. You're just testing it on a local integrated environment. So that's the reason it is integrated WebLogic server. Even the local JDev is also, it is same. It is something like integrated WebLogic server. I created for some testing purpose. I'll show you how to create even this local JDeveloper instance also. I'll create JDev local environment. So it's a web connection type. Your WebLogic version or whatever server you're using, you are allowed to select this before making the connection. So this is my WebLogic server details. The ones which you entered here before logging to EM console, this is same. This is simply your WebLogic server login details. I have entered the password, and my host name is localhost, and the port is 7101. It would be different for you. This will decide based on your initial configurations. So here 7101. Don't change the WebLogic domain name for now, because since if you're aware of the domain name, you can change it very well. For now, I'll say next and say test connection. It will give you one error, and so that you can get the domain name from here. So domain name here in WebLogic terminology, the domain name is at the top level. It has everything. It has admin server, it has managed servers, it has other servers. Say you have SOA, OSB, other things. So all the servers, you can keep it inside one domain also. So that means your domain is at the top level, and it contains your managed server and admin server. So I'm just selecting the domain name. It says domain name mismatch. A remote domain is default domain, not the base domain. So we have given the base domain, but this is not the domain name. It will even tell you what is your domain name. So this is a domain name. You see 10 of 12 tests are successful. So that means it is not allowing you to create a connection. So go back and give the domain name, the proper domain name. SSL port, you don't require to worry. You can even delete that. Say just your 7101 is a port. Say test connection. Now you should see everything success. 12 of 12 test successful. So now let's say next and say finish. See, now you have created an application server instance for your local developer. Similar way, you can create a server instance for your dev, test, production. So instead of localhost and port, you will be giving the your development server host name, your development server a port number, or your development server login details. Your admin will give you those details for you before making the deployments from your local developer. So for now, I have integrated WebLogic server in my developer, so I've given the localhost details. So I select, since I've created this connection, I'll just select this and say next. So it is trying to see the SOA servers. Inside SOA, you see only default server because you don't see admin server and SOA server here, because it is an integrated WebLogic server. You won't see those many differences here. But if you connect it to a real-time development server or test and production, you see the SOA server name here instead of default server. So partition is, in SOA you have partitions. If at all you want to separate the deployments by any name, say in your organization, the SOA server is being used for different applications. Then you create a different partitions. Say suppose finance, or say suppose manufacturing unit, or you creating web service for different things. So you want to make it a partition so that it is easy to manage. So for now it's a default partition. So I'm just saying next. So simply say finish. That's it. It will do a deployment. So it is deploying, and you see the console here, and this is your deployment thing. Say deployment finished. So deployment finished. So where you can see the deployment, as I said before, go to your WebLogic server EM console, and you see this type of window as in landing page. So don't worry about other stuff, you'll get to know slowly. So click on this icon. It is there in the leftmost top leftmost. So go inside. Don't worry about other things, just minimize those and go inside SOA. Go inside SOA infra. If at all you don't see these icons, or maybe you have to try it in another browser, or if you don't see even this symbol, you have to try it in another browser. Default, select default and select HelloWorld. See, this is the default. You remember where we have seen this is a partition. So inside inside your SOA infra managed server, or inside your SOA server. So I clicked on that HelloWorld, and it has taken you this screen. So if you see here, by simply we'll just say test. So this is your web service component. I'll say click on test. So here you see so many stuff here, so much of stuff. So simply go down here, click on payload. It pops up. It will give you input, what input you wanted to pass. So my intention is I want to pass the input as Harry. So let's say test web service. Click on test web service. So far there is nothing in the response. So there is no response here, and it is not yet executed. The test status has not changed. So this is the request and response tabs. So click on test web service. So this will execute your people service, and it will show the output as in Harry. See, this is a payload response. So you got the response as Harry. Right, this is what our web service meant for. You want to give the input as in Harry and get the output as in Harry. So how it looks like in WSDL, let's see. So this is our WSDL URL. Take this, copy this and paste it into your browser. See, now if you remember, I was talking about a concrete and abstract WSDL. So in JDeveloper we have seen that is an abstract WSDL. Now since it's deployed, you see the complete is concrete WSDL. So you see types even in the JDeveloper, you see messages, you see port type, you see everything there. Now what is the difference? You see binding and service. See binding component. Now it has binding component and it has service component. So that means this is your complete WSDL. This is your concrete WSDL. So what it is giving inside binding, it's a SOA binding. So it is using SOA protocol to communicate in a web service, and it has given the service. And let's see what is this inside the service. This kind of an endpoint URL. You can even test using this service, this WSDL directly on the browser. So you can view the so this is what let me click on here. There's a way to execute this thing, maybe based on even I never executed this, but it will give you somewhere your response. Yeah, see, this is your input variable as an array in SOAP binding. This is how it actually calls your service and gives you the output as in result array. This is your response in XML. I mean your complete test case in XML, how it looks like. Generally you don't require to open this, but I'm just explaining this is a way to test, since this URL it's available inside your SOAP address. So this is the way how it communicates to your WSDL. So go back to your thing here, test EM console. So inside EM console you see a different things here, launch a float trace. Let's click on this. It takes time, but it's okay. I'll explain this launch float trace in the next section, the next video, or even I'll try to explain how to debug this web service. So this is a way how to create a web service and create your SOAP based BPL component. And this is SOAP based BPL component as just a request and response. You want to pass an array as an input and got the output as an array. So and what we did in a BPL component, whatever the default it has given, we just added the assign activity here to pass the input from input variable to output. So we are done with the sample example here, hello world. In the next video I'll try to show you how to debug the BPL process here, or the complete WSDL, and then we'll follow with the next assign activity. We'll see how other assign activities works. Thank you so much. Let's see you in the next video.